and pretend that everything is just fine. Okay, here we go. Welcome to the stream, everyone. My name is Green Leader, and you guys are watching Green Squadron TV. Yeah. Today we're going to be checking out some couple of other things that I missed out from E3. A couple things that Debek 5 pointed out with Halo and their multiplayer stuff, and then a video from well, not from Alien King, but that Alien King brought up Alien's Fireteam. And yeah, we'll be covering a couple of other things as well, including some anime stuff. So it'll be, I think that'll be pretty fun to get into. So anyway, yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. But actually, no, before we do, there's one other thing. There is one other thing. This was also brought up by Debek 5. Nobody really thought it was going to happen, but they made it happen. The Xbox mini fridge. Very important development from Xbox. Because we all knew that when they came out with the Xbox Series X, still arguably the worst naming convention ever. Just is, oh god. If you could come up with a name by committee, Xbox Series X probably would be it. It's horrible. Anywho, but everyone was commenting back when they first announced it, back when they first showed it off, that hey, it looks like a giant fridge. Xbox decided to lean into it, and they made an official Xbox fridge. I don't know if this is actually going to be a real thing, or if this is just a meme. I don't know, but I'm here for it. I thoroughly enjoy this, so let's just go ahead and just watch this for just a minute. Let's just go ahead and switch over to this view so you guys can see what the hell we're watching here. And also pause the music. I like it. It's looking fancy. Hold on. I can imagine, because we know going into this video, we know exactly what it is. Like there's no sort of debating here going on. We know exactly what it is, right? We got to see. I'm actually sad I missed this live, because how many people would have been so just thrown off by this? A new system that leaves others cold. The world's most powerful mini fridge. I like it. I like it. Xbox. Wait, hold on. What did that say? What did that say? Let's go back a little bit. Xbox Velocity cooling architecture? Okay. Yes, this is... Oh my gosh. The Xbox mini fridge. Xbox and chill. Holiday 2021. Is it sad that I want one? I want one. Like, it's funny. I like that they did that. I actually really like that they did that. It shows that they can be a little tongue-in-cheek about sort of, you know, about the fact that they made a... I mean, it's not a bad design, right? It's a good design, technically speaking, because, you know, you've got plenty of room in there for all the ventilation, and you've got a really nice graphics card in there for a console. So, I get it. I get the design. It's a great design, but I like the fact that they were tongue-in-cheek with it enough to say, you know, we know that you guys all called it the mini fridge. Well, guess what? Here's a mini fridge for you guys. That actually does show a lot of foresight and some good judgment on the part of Xbox. Rather than trying to play it down, let's just kind of lean into it and kind of just poke fun at ourselves, and we can make a product that maybe some people might actually want. And exactly, Alien King. Alien King brings up full of Izzy. Yes, exactly. Because, you know, you guys know I love my Izzies, and I need a mini fridge in here. I have actually a Coke mini fridge, but I'm always wary of it because it's not supposed to be left on at all times, so I've not set it up. My parents actually bought it years ago for their business. They never actually ended up using it, just because they were a cabinet company. They don't have a lot of people coming in there, so yeah, we never used it. It just ended up sitting in storage. I pulled it out thinking that I could use it as a mini fridge, but it is really not meant to be used as a mini fridge. It is so weird, but it's only meant to be on for a couple of hours at a time, and then you have to shut it off so that it doesn't overdo it. So if I could get an Xbox mini fridge, and I got to tell you, it looks good. It does look good. Sorry, yeah. And it's only about, what, 2 or 3 can size? So, I mean, what, maybe about this tall? But, like, it's not an overbearingly big little mini fridge. I mean, you could set that up on a desk, even. So, I actually like that. It's a good move there, Microsoft. I like that. But, you know, with Microsoft, they I'm sure they went over quite a bit of stuff, including, you know, obviously the Starfield stuff and talking about some of their new games. But of course, whenever there's new console and Halo isn't out yet, people want to know where the hell Halo is. So we know that they went over the Halo Infinite multiplayer reveal. I'm not going to go over the reveal trailer. I'm just going to go over the just the multiplayer overview. I know Debek 5 set up both the reveal and the overview. Unless he's here and really wants to see both, I think we'll just focus on the multiplayer overview and kind of go from here. And again, this is still from E3. I missed this. I didn't see this, so this would actually be informative for me as to tell whether or not I'm gonna be that excited for Halo. But then again, I don't know. I like the multiplayer. The story is really what I cared more about. I'll give my opinion on that after this, but let's just get into it. Well, actually, let me pause the music first.
Just the
Thank you.
feeling of like being in a firefight and hearing the
Hold on. Let me just swap this over. I don't want to miss it.
click of the gun, throwing it down, grabbing one off the wall.
My gunner's upside down and he's like laying in. I see kill assist, kill assist, kill assist.
Any pistol across any of the games. Whatever gun allows me to feel the most like John Wick, I am there.
Remember how excited I was with like this big combat with vehicles going all over the place.
Halo means something different for everyone, right?
Okay. First of all, don't get me wrong when I say this. I love Halo. Love it. When I think of the vehicle stuff and vehicles in like shooter multiplayer, I always think of Battlefield. So when he says, "I'm like, you could have been talking about Battlefield there," I wouldn't know. When he talks about, oh yeah, the vehicles in this, and okay.
Combat with vehicles going all over the place.
Halo means something different for everyone, right? I think that's what makes Halo great.
The grab hammer. Halo Infinite multiplayer.
Well, what is Halo multiplayer? And for me, it boils down to this tight arena style combat and big team battle, this wide open, vehicle infused kind of combat. We're taking that awesome legacy or classic Halo combat experience and modernizing it in ways that'll feel fresh to old players and really exciting to new players. We're going to give you great ways to customize your Spartan, really make your super soldier your own, and we're kicking off a journey, an experience that's going to evolve month to month, season to season, year after year.
So Battle Pass. That's what I take from that. That means Battle Pass. Nothing wrong with Battle Pass, but let's not pretend that it's going to be anything like super crazy. My bet is And again, I may be little judging beforehand, but I mean, I'm betting it's just a battle pass and with some sort of extra cinematic, like what Call of Duty's doing. Just had that crap happen to me today. Signed into Call of Duty, and next thing I had a giant cinematic that I had to play before I could actually get into the game. Not horrible, but just a little irritating.
Game, and the toughest challenge I think was really about how do we respect the legacy of what came before us, but still build something that feels new.
We've tried to bring all these.
Do you really need to build something that new? Like the. I get that, like particularly with a lot of game journalism these days. Although I mean, you could throw them all in the garbage for all I care. I mean, game journalism isn't great these days. Yeah, they're focused more on more political issues rather than actually the games themselves. So I mean, I don't even trust game reviews anymore. I used to go very stringent into, like, I'd like to check out these review sites before I go pick up a games. And I always notice that with a lot of games journals, particularly over the last few years, they're always talking about, oh, what's new that they added to the system or to this or that. There's nothing wrong with adding stuff new, but if it changes it to the point where it doesn't feel like the original game anymore, you have to be careful about that, right? So, and with Halo particularly, it's a very specific feel. Like, Halo feels very different from Call of Duty or Battlefield or any of these other shooters. Halo is Halo. Halo's its own thing. So I'm hoping that they don't do anything too crazy that takes away from it. And I hope that the previous guy is actually serious when he says about actually respecting the original content.
Elements of legacy and really inject them into Halo Infinite, not just like in a way where you kind of won't notice it, where you feel like, oh, they really designed this to be a celebration of previous Halo, as well as an iteration of where Halo can go next. The vision of Arena was all about a tight experience. It was all about being fair. It was all about earning everything on the map, earning everything, every kill you get.
Going back to, like, what is the core foundation of what made the great Halo multiplayer arena matches great. Halo, it's really about fair and balanced starts, so everybody's on equal footing when they come off the rip. And then once they start running around, it's about scavenging, it's about finding new toys and kind of developing your playstyle as you run through the match.
What makes Halo?
That's kind of true. That is true.
I feel like the answer to that question is the sandbox. Like, the sandbox is Halo.
When we set out to look at Halo Infinite from a high level and the direction of what it is, there's lots of exciting things there because we really...
The sandbox is cool. I don't know if it's Halo. I mean, Far Cry was doing that before Halo was getting into that. Yeah, I don't know. That's actually an interesting take, because, like, I haven't done anything with the sandbox since 3. 3 was the last time I did anything with that stuff.
We wanted to push what are the things that are true to Halo, but what are the things that fans haven't seen yet?
Equipment is back, but equipment is kind of has a bigger voice than ever before. We ask questions to ourselves of if you could go after, a power weapon to get a bunch of kills, would you do that, or could you go and get grapple to make sure that you swing yourself to the other side of a map to back cap a stronghold?
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Like another avenue of not just skill expression, but tactics for teams to coordinate around.
The exciting combinatory nature of, this toy plus this toy and how those interact with objectives is super amazing.
Looking at how the power-ups play, like your classic power-ups like the overshield and the active camouflage. For this title, what we're looking at, what we're excited for, is you pick that up and you choose when you activate it. It goes into your inventory.
I actually do. Okay, so now this is a new change that I think is actually really good. They're tweaking something, but they're making it, it's something that's existed in the game before, but they're just tweaking it in terms of how it's using it. Rather than instantly using it, you're just picking it up and waiting to use it. Now, do other games already do that? Yeah, of course, but Halo's never done it. Yeah, I don't know. But this feels like a nice change. Also, the other thing was, I remember the equipment when they first added that was it was 3, but I mean, Reach I felt like Reach went a little bit more into it. The equipment in 3 was more about you picked it up and you used it usually pretty quickly. With 3, they kind of made it almost like it was an ability, whereas this feels like it actually is equipment. It's not just an ability, and it actually you can use it more tactically now.
And someone kills you in multiplayer, you drop that overshield, and then they can take it, use it for themselves. That to me is very legacy, but we took the equipment side of it and modernized it.
Okay.
When it comes to the
I like
vehicles,
that. I do like
we
that.
went in and decided to invest a lot in the systems. When I take damage in my Warthog, my wheels can get blown off, my hood can get blown off. There's different aspects of the vehicle
that's cool.
change how my vehicle handles now. And that's something that's brand new.
The other thing
That
we added
is.
to that
That's actually really cool because that gives modularity to the vehicles. And as you said, like, it changes handling. So you lose a tire, it's not going to drive extremely differently. Or you lose an engine on say like a Ghost. Now all of a sudden half the Ghost is like leaning down. That's actually pretty cool.
is like this doomsday mechanic. So when you hit this threshold, the vehicle catches fire, and it's very much you've got a certain amount of health or a certain amount of time, and you got to choose what you want to do with the last minutes of this vehicle.
We've got a cousin to the Warthog, which is the Razorback.
The back has this like multi-storage compartment that you can put a lot of stuff into. So if you want to put like detached turrets, power weapons, fusion coils, objectives, and that is what really making the Razorback kick a lot of butt
Wait.
in MP and campaign.
He just said objectives? That's actually interesting. So I could see a
pace for the game, how frantic it is, and they define.
I could see that being used as like you use it for like capture the flag, or you use it for plant the bomb, where you can put the objective in the back there. That's actually kind of interesting.
Fantasy for players as they're entering that match. What do they want to do? What type of experience are they hoping to have? What kind of combat? What kind of dance floor is there available to have that combat in?
For me, BTV is all about experiencing the full extent of the sandbox of Halo in just one match, right? Like you see the vehicles, the weapons, the equipment.
We really wanted to take that kind of concept, those feels you had, you know, playing the previous games, and just turn the volume up. Vehicles are no longer just spawning at bases anymore. We have Pelicans delivering them, and we have a commander in your ear telling you that Pelicans are going to be dropping off these vehicles.
Tank is inbound.
We
Oh,
have
that's interesting.
Halo 2 style Delta Halo mission weapon pods that fall from the sky to resupply the field.
That's where it makes it feel like a real battlefield, and it's very exciting.
This is not just more players, this is just this certain beautiful slice of sci-fi chaos.
The announcer is your big gameplay moments, your game modes, just like the way it was before. Personally,
That's where I was actually discussing this with my buddy Big Lou today. We were talking about that, and we were kind of curious as to which came first, whether it was Call of Duty or Halo. I think it was Halo that did this first, and it did make things, particularly like in the original Halos, you know, Halo 1, Halo 2. It certainly made the game feel very different.
AI is really a reflection and information for the player.
But then again, at the same time, it could also be quite irritating when it's constantly going off every 5 seconds.
So if a player grabs a flag, your personal AI is going to tell you to, you know, get that thing back to base and give you some like moment-to-moment updates.
Our team took the enemy flag.
What if we can let players choose their own AI, and each one of those are different voices, so that players can find the one that fits their personality and their mood the best?
Interesting.
They add to the sense of like me as a Spartan being more important, and for us in multiplayer, it is really about becoming a Spartan. You're Spartan. You are you inside of the Halo universe.
The body of customization content that we have on day one ensures that there will be millions of customization combinations for Spartans on the battlefield. That includes things like armor coatings, armor emblems, various armor effects, down to the individual armor pieces. So your shoulders, your gloves, your knee pads, your helmet, your visor, your helmet attachments. Then you look at weapons, and we've got a whole slew of customization offerings there. Vehicles have a huge pool of customizations too. We support customization in the game. Players can do the same thing on HaloWaypoint.com as well as the Halo Waypoint app.
The player also
Go use this other app or thing that has nothing to do with the game, but you can change your visor color. It's okay. I might be a little too critical on that, but I always feel somewhat irritated with, because I don't see this really adding anything meaningful to the experience. It's just, hey, if you want to waste 5 seconds, you know, you can swap out your visor color on your helmet. I think most of us would rather play some other or do something else on our phones while we're waiting rather than doing this. I don't know. I don't speak for everyone. Maybe somebody's, if somebody really likes this feature, let me know, please, either in the chat or you know, in the comments below. Alien King. Some people love to play dress up. That is true. I mean, that is true. But I do feel like on the phone, where you're gonna get what looks like a very, like, you look at this image right here. This looks like a very low res version of your character. Would you rather do this on the phone, or would you rather do this actually in your, you know, actually on the console? Or, and I don't know if it's gonna be on PC or not. But I mean, I know they put Master Chief Collection there as well. But I mean, are they gonna, you know, would you rather do it on your phone, or would you rather do this on your console or your PC or wherever you're going to be able to play this?
Customizes the Spartan, the soldier inside the suit. We want the Spartan to represent the player as much as possible.
And of course, keep in mind, I mean, they've had Spartan customization from day one. They've just never had an app that would allow you to do it on your phone while you're not at home playing the game. Oh, got confirmation from Alien King. It is on PC. That's kind of cool.
Change their body type and their voice, as well as choose prosthetics for the first time.
Coatings offer us a unique opportunity to craft some hyper-polished looks and let you express yourselves in ways you've never been able to before. So we're coming at this from a player-first mentality. So what that means is that there's no random loot in this. There's no loot boxes. It's very important to us that everyone understands exactly how they...
That actually was something that irritated me with Halo 5, was the customization, like for the helmets or for the other stuff. In order for you to unlock all that, you had to actually like go use these loot boxes to actually unlock the items that you could customize your Spartan with. That felt kind of shallow to me, rather than actually having that stuff being unlocked from doing stuff in game, or from completing missions, or doing specific feats within certain missions, like what it used to be in Halo 3 and Reach. It was kind of irritating that they did that with Halo. No, it was 5. It was Halo 5 where they did that. So I'm hoping that they kind of go back to that, because it's so much cooler to be able to say, yeah, I got that piece because I did this thing in this game, or I did this thing in this mission, you know.
They unlock customization content, and we have a variety of places.
Because it felt a whole lot more earned, right?
The Halo Battle Pass will never be taken away from
there's the Battle
Pass.
Pass.
What I mean by that is, once you buy it, it's yours and does not expire.
Okay.
In future seasons, you can purchase old Battle Passes as well as the current Battle Pass and choose which Battle Pass to put your progression towards.
All of these rewards are single source, so you're never going to be confused about where things come from. If you can unlock...
So, okay, so hold on. So there is a Battle Pass, which I called it. That is kind of actually interesting, where your progression for that Battle Pass doesn't stop. I actually really like that, because a lot of times I've not bought into a Battle Pass for a certain game, you know, whether it's Brawlhalla or Rocket League or PUBG or Call of Duty, you know, Warzone. I haven't bought into a Battle Pass because I'm like, you know, am I really going to play this much amount of time in a game, or spend this much amount of time in a game to only get, you know, 10 levels in of 80 levels and not get all the stuff? You know what I mean? Like it felt a bit of a ripoff, because, you know, if you wait too long, your time to allow that progression to that Battle Pass actually runs out, and now you've lost out on half the stuff. Now, does that make things less unique, right? Where people are going to be able to, you know, more people are going to have a lot of the crazy unique stuff, sure. But I actually prefer that, because that does give the players more quality for what they're actually spending.
Unlock something in the Battle Pass, we're not going to let any other players circumvent that by purchasing it out of the storefront.
A lot of our stuff is unlocked through playing the game, and only through playing the game.
Good.
All customization is just cosmetic.
Good.
Every season will have its own theme and introduce new components, new looks, new gameplay for players, new opportunities to earn and collect cool rewards. We've seen the Samurai already. That's one of our event armor cores. And that's going to be something that players can earn through gameplay for free.
With us going free to play for the multiplayer part of the game, like that was a big goal because, you know, how do we have a way we can always bring players in, right? And they can, when we have a new update, they'll just dip their toes in if they even just want to see it.
Not only are we free to play, but we're free to play on PC as well as console. And what that means
Ooh.
is we're able to get the biggest.
Free to play? Okay. That's interesting. So, like, is a story? Like, how are they going to make money off it? Like, I get the battle pass will definitely pay for the multiplayer stuff for sure. But I mean, okay, interesting. I'll let them.
Biggest audience we've ever had. I mean, everybody gets to play with no barriers, and even better, your progression carries from one platform to the next.
Getting our game to be on PC and console at the same time is an amazing chance for us to really just kind of excite new players.
For a second, I thought he was going to say amazing feat. I'm like, what do you mean amazing feat? But he changed it. Sorry.
How can we do things?
And if I'm being a little overly critical, I love Halo. I'm a huge fan of the Halo franchise, and Halo 5, I actually really enjoyed. The story kind of let me down a little bit with the way it ended. I thought it was kind of weird that they made Cortana evil, or made Cortana the bad guy at the end of it. That did kind of irritate me. Yeah. But I thought the gameplay was good, and I certainly felt that some of the reaction to Halo 5 was a little extreme from some people who said that they hated it, but I really enjoyed it. But the story-wise, I kind of saw what people were talking about, where they were not particularly happy with, you know, the fact that A, you spent so little time with Master Chief, and then B, they turned Cortana into the bad guy. That was a little disappointing for me, and I understand some of those complaints. So I really want them to do well with Halo Infinite, and I'm hoping that they do a good job with the story, and that they do a good job with. I mean, multiplayer. You don't need to worry about that, right? We know Halo. I'm fairly certain Halo multiplayer is going to be good no matter what. The question is it going to be amazing, the best ever, or is it going to be more of a mediocre version of the multiplayer? It's still going to be good, right? It's still going to, at worst, it's going to be like an 8 out of 10 rather than a 9 or a 10 out of 10. But yeah,
things like make cross-play interesting, and like even in just customs, being able to just play with your friends. That, like, some people have PCs and some people have consoles, and like let them talk to each other, let them be friends.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Very much appreciate that.
Academy is a place that you can go within MP to kind of onboard into the experience. It's great for newer players who are still picking up the controls, and also people who want to warm up before they head into matchmaking. It's a series of experiences, both a tutorial to get started for the first time, weapon drills to practice with specific items, and also training mode that you can use to just get warm, explore the game as you want to.
For players who are new to Halo, let's help them learn what this universe is about. Some of these characters, what are they about? And help them kind of know the vocabulary that people have been speaking for now almost 20 years, so that when they come in there, they don't feel like they're behind everyone else. They can kind of come in on an even footing.
I mean, I'm super jazzed about bots. I think they're awesome. Our goal with bots has been to have a variety of difficulties that kind of provide a good training partner for wherever you're at in the experience.
Almost bots never move like players do.
On the road to launch
Never.
and after launch is absolutely critical.
I appreciate that they're doing a whole bunch of work on bots, but I mean, playing against bots is always a completely different experience than playing against other players. Players will always move in weird and unpredictable ways. Bots are always predictable. The real differences between bots and players is always just the amount of accuracy that bots have. Bots are so much easier to just laser onto players, and so that's how they become more difficult. Yeah, I don't see them doing, I don't see that they're going to do anything crazy with the bots. But if they continue with bots moving forward, because I'm sure they haven't done this for Halo Infinite, but I'd love to see them actually change the movement style of bots and actually make it such that they do move more like players do. I'd love to actually see them do that, where they're actually studying player footage for how they move and how they actually, you know, how they move and dodge and behave in strange ways that bots never do, and try and program that into a bot. I feel like that would actually be interesting.
Halo's always been about the community conversation.
We want to make sure we hear our players, make changes where we can based on that feedback, make sure the game is ready for launch, and then even beyond launch.
What I'm genuinely excited about is taking the game out of our hands and putting it into the community's hands. You know, whether it's seeing what people make in Forge, or the content that they're able to create with theater, watching streamers go after the game.
To get involved, you go to haloinsider.com, put in your info with your gamer tag, and we should be able to reach out to you if we want to invite you to a Halo Infinite flight.
We feel like we've got a pretty good selection at launch and what's going to be there for our fans. And this isn't going to be something that is just a static set of items. We have some new stuff in the works already, and just can't wait to really get into that as soon as this game comes out.
New maps, new modes, new ways to customize your Spartan. Launch is just the beginning. Now we're just going to be able to talk, interact more frequently, and that's just going to be great. That is the future of Halo Infinite multiplayer.
Thank you to the community for all their feedback over the years so far, and I'm looking forward to the road to launch, launch itself, and beyond.
So multiplayer is free to play. Okay. So I do like that. I do like that it's going to be cross-platform. So far I like a lot of what I've seen here. They've made a lot of right calls, and they have definitely done a lot of good things with what they've been given, and that I think they're moving in a good direction. I do think it's interesting that they are doing free to play for the multiplayer, and yet you're still going to pay for the campaign separately, which makes me wonder if they're going to do like what Call of Duty is doing with Warzone, where Warzone is kind of its own standalone project, even though it came out with Infinite Warfare. But now that Black Ops has come out as well, you've now got stuff from both games in Warzone as well. And I wonder if they're going to do the same thing, if Halo is trying to do the same thing with Infinite, right? Where they basically... I'm trying to think the right way to say this. Where they're basically having your standalone multiplayer on its own, and then they're going to have just different Halo games moving forward, and as those Halo games progress, they're just going to add more features or more stuff from the new game into the existing Infinite multiplayer. Which also would then make sense as to why they're calling it Halo Infinite, because, you know, in terms of the multiplayer, that's going to be around forever. They're probably not going to change that too much. Which even then, I mean, from looking at the trailer that they've shown, doesn't look crazy different. It really doesn't. And if they basically treated like patches for the multiplayer, they could just update that multiplayer continually without having to force the player to actually download a completely new game. I actually like that. I think that's a smart move by them. The Battle Pass, as I said, I called it. I knew they were going to be doing a Battle Pass. But I do like the fact that they're actually allowing you to continue to work with a given Battle Pass and, you know, just continue to put points into that even after the quote-unquote timeline is done and they're moving on to the next Battle Pass. So you don't have to buy the next Battle Pass. You can just keep working on the old one that you know, didn't complete before, which I like. That gives value to the gamer, so they're actually getting, you know, their money's worth for what they actually paid with the Battle Pass. That's pretty cool. I like that. As I said, I like the idea of the vehicles and actually having different parts having different damage. That's actually pretty cool, particularly with like how I've been getting into Mech Warrior. I've been really enjoying that, and that's actually a major part of that game as well. It's kind of cool that they're doing that with this game with Halo. It's interesting, certainly. Yeah. So far, I'm pretty impressed. I'm still interested to see how that story is going to go, and I know that they've put out stuff for it, but I don't want to get too deep into the story until I actually play it. So I think I'm gonna wait before I actually watch anything or do anything with it until the game actually comes out. Maybe I'll stream it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm excited. And by the way, the best thing that they said was A, it's gonna be on both PC and Xbox, and that B, it is cross-platform. I'm so glad that we are starting to move away from this whole, if you and your friend buy the same game but on different platforms, you can't play together. That's always been garbage. That's always been crap, and I've always hated it. So the fact that more games are starting to do this, like Call of Duty, you can already do that. You've got cross-platform. I hope Battlefield has cross-platform, and I'm glad to hear that Halo Infinite has cross-platform. Yeah. Makes me very excited for the future of multiplayer gaming, at least. To be able to play with my friends, regardless of whatever platform we happen to buy it on, right? It's definitely moving in the right direction. With that said, I am a little concerned. Not from anything I've seen here, but I did see an article.
Xbox Game Pass.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, the obligatory Game Pass advertisement. Oh, Xbox. So, Phil Spencer, who is, I believe he is the head of Xbox right now, rep Xbox boss Phil Spencer says, Halo Infinite is not make or break for the IP. This comes from Game Informer. And I think just that's, and to be fair, that could just be some shitty clickbait title from Game Informer, which is kind of irritating. But so basically, Phil Spencer gave an interview to IGN. Again, horrible games journalism all over this place. But he was talking about Halo and the way it currently stands, and I think they basically talked a bit about Halo and how it stands, where it is as an IP, right? Let's try and see here. Halo has always been a staple for Team Green. Assuming they're talking about Xbox. When looking at the Xbox experience has to offer, the sci-fi shooter has been vital to the name of Xbox and has evolved much in the years since its birth. 100% true. Even changing hands from Bungie over to 434 Industries. Well, right, that's because Bungie had a deal with Xbox that when they created Halo, the IP belonged to Xbox, not to Bungie. So Xbox could do whatever the hell they wanted with Halo, and so they gave it off to 343 when Bungie decided to go a different route and move on to something else. Because of that, the initial backlash to when Halo Infinite gameplay was first revealed, there's a lot of speculation as to whether or not Infinite will be a final test regarding to Halo's future going forward. That seems weird. I don't remember. Was there backlash to Halo? I don't remember there being backlash to Halo Infinite gameplay. It looked good. It looked more like Halo, but I mean, it looked good. I thought there was a bigger backlash to Halo 5 and the story than there was to actually Halo Infinite's gameplay reveal. That's an odd take. Maybe I'm missing something, right? But I don't know. Final test regarding Halo's future going forward with Starfield, the new space IP from Bethesda, also being an Xbox exclusive. Some have even wondered if that could take down the crown. Why? That doesn't make any sense. According to Xboss, really. Phil Spencer, Halo Infinite will not be a make or break situation. Instead, it is a fresh start. Why is it a fresh start? In a recent interview with IGN, Spencer sat down to talk about Halo's place in the Xbox future, and he weighed in on thoughts that success of the upcoming game could be a telltale moment of its continued experience. In an effort to just be honest, whether it's what you want me to say or not. Spencer told the site that he doesn't see Halo Infinite's impending launch that way, as a proverbial nail in the hypothetical coffin. Halo will be here 10 years from now. Is Infinite the linchpin on whether it survives that long? Absolutely not. The game has such a rabid fan base and such a history and lore that it's just an IP that's going to be with us. We don't take that for granted, but I definitely believe in my core that that is true. And I think he's 100% right on that. But with that said, yeah, I don't know. Because he is 100% right. No matter what, I think Halo's going to be here. There's always going to be a big fan base for it. And to say that this is somehow, whether or not this survives or not, or whether or not this is received well is going to be whether or not Halo survives or not. I think that's kind of ridiculous. That's like looking at any Call of Duty and saying, oh, whether or not the players actually like this Call of Duty is going to somehow determine whether or not Activision is going to continue to pump out Call of Duty every year. Yeah, that is certainly a bit of a stretch there. I think Halo's going to be around for quite a while. Now, do I think that there was some negative feedback from Halo 5? Sure. And was there a long time between Halo 5 and Halo Infinite? 100%. But I don't think this is going to be that crazy of a thing to say that no matter what, whether or not this game does... Like, this game would have to really crash and burn in order for them to even think maybe we should put Halo down. You know what I mean? Yeah, League Esports. It's a fresh start because it's been so long since Halo. Yeah, Halo 5. That, you know... That's still true. Halo 5 came out, gosh, what, 2015? When was Halo 5? Not Hello. Halo 5. Halo 5 Guardians. Yeah, 2015. It has been 6 years. Now, to be fair, it was postponed by a year because of the whole COVID shutdowns and whatnot. But, I mean, still... It would have been 5 years. I think between Halo 4 and Halo 5, it was only 2 years. Sorry, I was incorrect on that. 3 years. Because, of course, it was on Xbox 360, not Xbox One. Yeah. Now, to be fair, they did come out with the Master Chief Collection, but the Master Chief Collection is just a remaster of Halo 2, and then a compilation of all the other games put together. So I'm sure that probably tided over a lot of people in terms of... oh, getting ahead of myself. But I'm sure that tided over a lot of people for the need for Halo, but I mean, yeah, 5 years is too long. Way too long. But there is something that does trouble me with what he's saying here. Where was it? Yeah, he added that he doesn't want the teams associated with games like Halo Infinite to feel that the fate of their future, the fate of this game, depends on all 10s across the board. Instead of focusing on that, the teams are instead honing in and doing everything they can to make Infinite a game that our Halo fans will be proud of. I think there are going to be millions of people that are going to play the game and love the game. Okay. When I initially read it, I just read this part. And I'm always a bit of a pessimist sometimes. Well, particularly when it comes to new stuff. Particularly new stuff of existing titles. Particularly with my disappointment with Star Wars. But when he says that he doesn't want the teams to feel like that the fate of their future, the fate of this game, it does make me curious if he's saying that because he is already concerned that this may not do so well. Like maybe he thinks that the game is a little lacking and so he's trying to let us down slowly. And again, not that I necessarily think that that is the case, but it's just always a nagging feeling in the back of my head whenever I see kind of statements a little bit like that. And I'm sure he's just trying to assuage people's feelings of that, right? And saying, no, don't think of it like that. Think of it like this. But my brain just goes there. So that's all. That's just a caveat. That's just a... I don't think I'm right on that, but it does sound a little weird when he says it like that. That is all. Don't take it too... don't take my opinion on that a little too seriously. Just... yeah. Just be aware that we could potentially point at this and say, you know, if Halo doesn't do well, that he was trying to let us down gently here. But... or I could be completely wrong, and he's trying to not make us think that way. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to another sci-fi franchise, shall we? We got Aliens Fireteam. Alien King submitted this last week and said, hey, I want you to look at this. I'm like, okay, let's check it out. Alien King, friend of the channel, VIP, was saying, you know, he loves anything that's aliens. That's why he is the Alien King. So pretty much any alien game out there he will play. From what I've seen, I'm not that much of a fan of the Aliens games because they all feel like either big scary monsters where you gotta run and hide like Alien Isolation, or just not great team squad-based shooters like any of the other alien games. But let's check it out. I'm willing to give it a try. I'm always hopeful whenever new games come out. So let's give it a try and see if it's gonna be okay. And this is from IGN, so...
Hey everybody, Ryan McCaffrey with IGN, back for more with Aliens Fireteam. It is our IGN first game, IGN's cover story, as it were, for the month of March. We're covering it all month long. We had a 25-minute gameplay video that went up already. You may have seen that. Now we are going to dig into a couple of the character classes that you have available to you. And I'm joined by Chris Matz, the lead systems and combat designer. Chris, thanks for being here.
Hey Ryan, thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here.
So, Chris, you're going to walk us through a couple of the character classes. You've got several in the game. Which two are we taking a look at today?
We're going to be looking at the gunner and the technician.
Okay. Before we continue, let's talk about this for a second. So, I wonder if there's actually a different video. So this is from IGN, and they're talking specifically about the classes. But it looks like it's going to be I'm trying to think of the right way to say it, because it's not it doesn't look like it's a 4v1 like Evolve or Death by Daylight, but it looks like it's going to be a PvE co-op experience.
Today.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
Let's start with the gunner. That's who I got
they have
to
done
play,
this before.
So you got to see that in action a bit in that 25-minute gameplay video. So what do players need to know first and foremost about the gunner before we get into kind of the nitty-gritty details of the gunner's skills?
In fact, this looks almost like a potential... Actually, if it... Yeah, this looks almost like a Left 4 Dead situation. And to be fair, this is the first I've seen of it, the first I've heard of it. But that actually, if it is more like a Left 4 Dead experience where like you have a sort of map built out, and you know, it's the point of the game is to get the team from point A to point B, but like you've got like a dynamic AI that hits you in different ways with you know, the different enemies, and actually hitting you at different points, so you're never quite you can never quite let your guard down. That would be actually kind of cool. Is that the case, Alien King? I'm not 100% certain on that.
And abilities.
But that would be cool
Sure.
if they did that.
So the gunner is kind of the classic colonial marine that everybody thinks of. Just tons of firepower, bring in, you know, frequently a nice strong assault rifle, and some close quarter weapons as well, so that they can handle a lot of situations. They've got a grenade, they've got their overclock, they're going to do all sorts of cool stuff in the fight.
And how can, so a big thing with the game here is that you can level things up over time. It's part of the motivation to keep coming back and playing.
Now, on a side note, I thought the xenomorphs had like really strong exoskeletons that like bullets generally didn't hurt them the same way. And didn't really allow you know what I mean? Like there wasn't really a lot of bullet penetration on them because they were genetically designed to be sort of like a huge killing machine. So like you couldn't just kill them with gunfire. You had to actually kill them with, you know, something a lot bigger, like a giant mech, like you saw in Aliens, was it 2? Or, you know, suck them out into the vacuum of space, like you saw in the original. So, I don't know. It's built for co-op, but you can play. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's exactly the same with Left 4 Dead. But I think it is, and I could be wrong on this, but I would think that it is kind of like that. It's meant to be like a sort of firefight PvE, you know, squad. You guys need to either survive or you guys need to travel from point A to point B. So yeah. Oh sure, they can be shot, but I mean, I didn't think that did a lot of damage to them.
How can the gunner improve over time? What sort of are there some sort of specific examples there?
Yeah, so the perk system for the gunner really lets the gunner focus on either of their 2 main abilities or spread some stuff out for both of them. You can improve your overclock ability, which makes it so everybody on your team can shoot faster.
Oh, that's a big boy.
And a couple other things going on there too. And then you've also got your grenade, which starts as a default, you know, handheld grenade, and you throw it and it explodes. There's a couple of different upgrades for the grenade specifically that let you drastically change how that ability in specific works. One, the incendiary burst changes it so that you just release it right in front of you and basically big blast of fire right in front of the character.
Oh, that's cool.
Or you can use your remote detonator version where you toss the grenade, it sticks in a spot, and then you can push the button again to detonate it when you want to. So you can either get a more immediate in-my-face ability or take something that allows you to have a little more strategic planning with that remote detonator.
I don't know if we can, if there's anything we can kind of drill into here on the loadout screen. There we go. So let's see some of these perks.
Yeah,
if
so
you want to walk through these, that'd be great.
Sure. So you've got a whole bunch of different perks here. You can see the different colors right now. Some of these are universal perks that we're calling them, where they can be used by any kit. So once you've unlocked them on, say, the gunner, you can take that perk over to your technician and be able to level up all the kits that way and get a little bit of cross-kit gameplay going on.
Interesting.
So I've got rapid deployment here. Can go to either of my abilities and basically reduce the cooldown so I can use that more often. And then, like I mentioned, I've got remote detonator or incendiary burst. I can slot that on my grenade, and that'll actually change my ability out in game. So
that's kind of cool.
Will be replaced with the incendiary burst version, and that's the one I'll be using and get that change.
That is an interesting design.
There's a whole bunch of other types of perks that improve your gun, improve base functionality of your kit, and do a whole bunch of different stuff that you're going to get to change.
This grid is interesting. It's almost kind of like, you know, Tetris style old school Diablo interface inventory, I should say.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So are you kind of limited by? It looks like some of these skills take up more space in this grid.
Yes. So we've got a variety of sizes. You know, 1x1s up to 1x4s and some 2x2s that you got to place in here. And as you can see here, we say it's going to unlock at rank 7 of your kit and unlock at rank 5. So
that's actually a really cool design idea, in terms of just talking about from a development point. That's actually really cool, particularly as like an upgrade screen. And maybe I'm wrong on this or not. I'm not that familiar with the universe of Aliens and whatnot, but I mean, it certainly feels like it fits. It fits the style of that universe very well, and fits the lore very well. So that's actually kind of cool. I like that. This is a very cool design.
When you start, you have a smaller amount of space on any given kit to be able to slot things in. As you rank up the kit, you get more space, you get more perks, and you get more options to change the way you play that character.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else in the gunner we should check out before we move on to the technician here?
I guess, you know, one of the other things that's really important about the kits in our game is they also determine what types of weapons you're allowed to bring. For example, here the gunner has a rifle slot and a CQW slot, or close quarter weapons. And inside of that, you've got a whole bunch of different, you know, attachments.
I was actually just thinking of that. I'm sure that based on the classes that they have in the game, you are limiting your weapons that you can actually use, right? So here's my assumption, right? Is that you've got assault who can probably use, you know, assault rifles and, you know, fully auto big rifles and shotguns from the looks of it. Demolition. Let's take a look at. Let's just go back and see what the classes were. Demolition. My guess is this guy's got probably a shotgun as well, and probably a launcher, maybe an SMG. Tactician. That would be interesting. One of these is going to be some sort of LMG and a sniper, or a sniper. And so my guess is the doc would be the LMG, tactician would be the technician would be potentially the sniper, and then secondaries would probably be some sort of SMG or something like that for either of them. But I mean, class systems in a lot of these games, they, at least in my opinion, I would think that they derive a lot from Battlefield and how Battlefield sets up the different classes like that. So.
Got a whole bunch of different, you know, attachments you can do, change your guns themselves, and you'll be able to swap out that Kramer that I had there for, like, say, the M41A2 pulse rifle, get that classic rifle in here, and change out your CQW, change out for shotguns or different types of submachine guns.
Yep.
So each kit has those options in there. Not every kit uses the same slots.
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, maybe the CQW is probably common between all of the different classes, and that the primary weapon is different for each class.
There's 4 different core types of guns. There's rifles, CQWs, handguns, and heavy weapons.
Let's move on to the technician then and see what's available over there.
So over on the technician, our technician is our turret guy. He's
okay. Now that's interesting. They went a different. I was actually fully expecting a sniper rifle here, but they went different. They went pistol, which I suppose would make sense for the technician because they need maybe a single-handed weapon so they can actually set up their equipment. Yeah, interesting choice, but it's not a bad one.
All of
it's not a bad choice at all.
Control spaces that you want to have. So you've got your permanent turret and placement ability where you can place that down, pick it back up, move it where you need to. When it blows up, it goes on a short cooldown until you can make another one. And that's a really big part of the technician's gameplay. And then he's also got charge coils where you've got 3 stacks of that you can basically have out at any given time. So you can throw multiples of these ones out and each one of them comes back up for you. And they're like an electric dart that impales into the ground and releases a whole field of electricity all around it, and enemies that get in there get slowed down, aren't as effective at combat.
Okay,
so
that's cool.
Comboing these together,
cool.
where you can say, I'm going to set my turret up here, then I'm going to throw my coils out ahead and get everybody stuck in that area while the turret mows them down, is a great vibe.
Yeah, I got to see this in action. Matt was playing as the technician during our 25-minute gameplay video that's on IGN now, and yeah, it was the turrets just came in such handy that it seems like you'll certainly want to have a technician as one of your 3 players. And I guess that does bring me up to another quick question, general question. Can you have more than one of a class? Do you all have to pick a separate class, or can you have 3 technicians if you want?
You could bring 3 technicians. Okay. Certainly our goal is to make it so that you don't want to, but it's definitely an option. But, you know, like you said, you definitely want to have a technician. Well, we have people saying that about all of our kits, and you don't have that many slots. So pick the 3 that you think are going to work well together. Make sure your builds synchronize well enough to maximize their efficiency working with each other, basically, and go mow down some aliens.
All right, so let's.
So that's an interesting thing that he's saying there. So because and maybe I'm reading this wrong with how he's saying it, but the way he is saying it is that essentially they have kind of limited the classes to make it such that their scope is relatively small, or maybe I'm thinking of depth, right? Like you can't have multiple different, like you couldn't have a technician that sets up a healing bot and a technician that sets up a turret and a technician that sets up like I don't know, some sort of other thing, right? That you could play with 4 technicians and they kind of have those different slots. Same way with like maybe 4 different assaults, right? You know, or gunners, not assaults, but you know, gunners, or 4 different demolitions. So it sounds like they've limited it such that, you know, your technician, you can get very focused in on with the technician for like what their skills are, but because they've made it so focused, you can't really properly utilize a team that's only just technicians. You would need, you really would want to have, you know, one of each class for every single time you run the game. You wouldn't want to have 2 technicians and maybe two gunners, or 2 technicians and 2 demolition guys, and so on and so forth, right? So it's interesting. I do see them
some of these
basically making it such that
technician perks
your scope of what you can do with each class would be a little limited.
brought up here.
Right. So
Just
again,
my
some of the
interpretation
same
there.
style. I'm just modifying my guns, making my guns better. They're all a little different for each of the different kits. And then we've got our actual charge coils here, and I've got a couple of things on here. Make it so I get some buffs when I use my charge coils, reduce the cooldown on that ability. And then inside of here, I've got my 2 different turret modifiers that I can do that are big. There's a whole bunch of smaller ones as well that change some of that behavior. But these 2 are really big. I change a lot about how this turret functions. And so the base turret is similar to what you've seen in the movies, where it's like a, you know, a heavy machine gun that's firing.
Yeah.
We've got the heavy turret, where it's more like a slow firing, ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk kind of thing.
Yeah.
Really good at taking on big dudes. And the incinerator turret swaps that out with the flamethrower, basically. So it's short range, lights everything on fire that gets near it. It's what you want for mowing down the hordes.
I would imagine if there are,
I think this is what I mean. Like right here, they just kind of explained a little better as to how I poorly articulated it. You're right. So there's going to be a lot of depth in terms of what you can do with your class and how you can make these small, minute changes that can really affect how well your class plays and how you want to play it. But you're not going to have a large scope as to what you can and can't do, right? You can't make like a fully healing technician or a fully healing gunner. Can't make like a fully demolition gunner or doc or whatever. You're gonna wanna make it such that each class feels unique enough, such that you're gonna need to have one of each kind, which makes sense. It does make sense. I get it, but that does feel like they are limiting a bit in terms of like what you can and can't do. It's just interesting. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it is just kind of.
Yes, flamethrowers are very.
It's just kind of interesting in terms of what you can and can't do as a developer, in terms of, you know, would you really ever want to have 4 technicians? From a development standpoint, you really wouldn't. You'd want to have it such that people could play with these different classes. I don't know. It's just interesting to think
swarms
about.
Of little guys, that's for sure.
the technician definitely seems, there's a lot of nuance. What is your personal preferred loadout for a technician? So as people later this summer will play Aliens Fireteam for themselves for the first time, if they're diving into the technician, what do you recommend?
So, man, that's a tough question. We have, you know, Matt's a huge technician player as well, and so he's probably got very different opinions than I do. But I think for me, I really like bringing one of the hard-hitting handguns. So the Kramer 50 Magnum is one of them that works really well for that. Something that lets me be pretty accurate at a medium range. And I usually bring a shotgun so that I can take guys down, take any kind of runners to get past my turret down. And I kind of hang out near my turret. But swapping out for some of the SMGs, this one is really useful. The Flechette is really useful for any time when I know I'm going to have lots of enemies that I need to be hitting rapidly instead of just getting the stragglers. So it really depends on who's coming with me on a team. If I'm playing more of that support role, I'm probably going to hang back by my turret and have that shotgun and that hand cannon. If I'm going to be more of an aggressor because we've got other support people with me, like I'm bringing a doc alongside me, then I might be going a little more aggressive and bring a submachine gun.
Chris Matz, the lead systems and combat designer from Cold Iron Studios, thank you so much. For more on Aliens Fireteam, keep it locked to IGN all March long.
Okay, that's actually pretty interesting. Couple things. I'm a little sad I didn't get to see the demolition or the dock So I'm with Savage Plays there. I would have actually very much liked to see the doc. I always play, particularly in games like this where you can play a class and you know, it really affects your team composition by what class you take. I usually like to take healer for whatever reason. Particularly like in Battlefield. I always really enjoy playing as the medic and being able to run around and revive people and throw out some heals and do all that stuff. So I do thoroughly enjoy that type of gameplay. Yeah. So I am a little sad I didn't get to see that. Only problem with this video, it didn't really fully explain what the overall gameplay is. I just had to kind of get that. I'm gonna just check out this official trailer. I didn't plan to do this, but I just want to just kind of get a little bit more of a feel of the actual advertisements.
My name is Tony.
Blah blah blah. Okay, we'll let that run. It looks interesting, and the one thing that does actually make me really interested in the game is that they are taking more of a what looks like a Left 4 Dead approach. I do think that's pretty cool. It certainly feels like a more intriguing way to approach this franchise than what they've done in the past, of either trying to go very, very heavy, like, at least in terms of the shooters, right? With either like a semi-story heavy game with a big multiplayer element, particularly when you've got people playing as the aliens or people playing as the Marines. That doesn't quite feel right. A Left 4 Dead structured, so like, I mean, again, two game types I think really work. Alien Isolation, which is that sort of like run and hide horror game with lots of like jump scares and high tension areas. That makes a lot of sense for Aliens. And then this is the other type of game that makes a lot of sense for Aliens, is that sort of Left 4 Dead style game where you've got basically a 4-man co-op team going up against hordes and hordes of AI enemies. And that's what I think this is. Now that the trailer is ready to go, let's go ahead and check this out. I'm interested in this game with you. Yeah, hell yeah, man. That would be actually super fun. I don't know about you guys, but I love the Left 4 Dead franchise. I played Left 4 Dead 1 and I played Left 4 Dead 2, and I really love those games. I'm actually a little sad that they haven't made another one yet. But if this is gonna be it, then this is gonna be it, and I would definitely love to check that out. Okay, here's the official trailer from, unfortunately, IGN's the one showing this video, but that's fine. That's fine. Whatever. Hold on. Didn't realize the sound was off. I'm like, why is it so quiet?
There are some places in the universe.
I've got movement. I've got movement! I've got movement!
You don't fight alone.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. This is very much looking like Left 4 Dead. Okay. Oh gosh. Aliens Fireteam. That's pretty cool. Okay, yep. It's certainly Left 4 Dead-esque, isn't it? If I'm ever in a life situation where there are eggs, I'm out. Yeah, I can understand that. I very much understand that. I can see AK as the no. Stop it. Stop it. It's not wanting another ad. For goodness sake. Man, they're just throwing all the ads at me right now. Come on. Fine. Anyway, yeah. So, as I was expecting, let's go back to this screen. Yeah, that's the next thing. We'll cover that in a second. Yeah, as I was expecting, it looks like it's another Left 4 Dead. It is a Left 4 Dead game in the Aliens universe. I think that's really cool, actually. I'm always a little skeptical of the Alien games because A, I'm not really into horror games. So like games like Alien Isolation, not interested. I will watch a stream of it, but I will not play it. Not a fan of horror, period. But there are a few exceptions, and games like Left 4 Dead are one of them, because they make the game very interesting and very much a unique experience for every single time you run through a map or run through a campaign in Left 4 Dead. So it's a lot of fun, and obviously being able to play with your friends, I think that's great. The only thing I haven't seen from either the trailer or the gameplay run through was I didn't see if it was cross-platform, and I didn't see if it was like where it was available. There was something else, but my brain is just blanking right now. But I think the important thing for me is like, is this actually going to be cross-platform, or is it only going to be on? Excuse me. Is it only going to be on you know, a single platform? So like if you buy it on Xbox, you only play with people who are playing on Xbox, and so on and so forth. And this is kind of what I was talking about with Halo. I'm very glad to see that Halo is moving into this direction as well of being able to play cross-platform. But yeah, I just wish all multiplayer games were like that. What was it? Aliens Fireteam. Let's just see if it is or not. Aliens Fireteam Elite, the upcoming co-op shooter, set 23 years after the original Alien trilogy, will support cross-gen play, but not cross-platform. Why? Actually, I do know why. I think the main reason why is that they don't want to go cross-networks. There's a certain amount of programming that they need to actually do in order to allow that to happen. Makes me sad. And I get why. I mean, they would have to basically create their own intermediary that would then need to talk to PlayStation and Xbox and or Steam, right? So like in the example that they give, if you buy it, if you and your friend buy it and you have it on PlayStation 5 and they have it on PlayStation 4, you can play between the two, right? But you can't but like if you buy it on Xbox and your buddy buys it on PlayStation, you two cannot play together. You would have to make sure that you buy it on that same family of platforms, right? Now, does that mean that you could play between Xbox and PC? That's another question altogether, right? Because I know Xbox, even though you've got Steam, Xbox does have their store online with integration there, so you could potentially, and maybe they'll explain a little further on GameSpot. There, really? That's it? Damn it. No, I don't care about the Streets of Rage 4. Yeah, so I don't know if they will allow it or not. Then we'll find out once it's there. But right now, yeah. And you're right, Alien King. Cross-gen is better than nothing, right? But I think cross-platform would be a cooler thing. I believe it'll become cross-platform in the future, like other games are doing. Okay, as long as they have some sort of plans for it, that's at least better than nothing. Yeah, it is a bit disappointing, but I do understand that there is extra programming that needs to be done to accommodate that. So I do understand that. it is difficult for them to do that. So it's understandable. Disappointing, but understandable. So, yeah. Anyway, as we go from one battlefield to another, I just want to check out something with Battlefield 2042. And it's this phenomenon that's kind of come up since the release of the trailer for 2042 at E3, which is that Battlefield 4 has actually it's had a resurgence. Basically, in the last few weeks, a whole bunch of people have gotten into Battlefield 4 again because they're trying to kind of get that Battlefield kick between now and when 2042 actually hits. Which also, when is 2042? When is that actually coming out? Oh, it's October. Okay. I need to remember that. Because that is one I definitely want to play when it comes out. So IGN kind of reported on this on Twitter. I didn't respond or anything, but yeah, they offered Battlefield 4 freeze on Prime. Oh, free on Prime Gaming. Been playing. Oh, that's awesome, dude. No, I love Battlefield. Battlefield 4 was great. In terms of the multiplayer, story was disappointing, but then again, the Battlefield campaigns are always a little disappointing, right? Except for Bad Company. Bad Company is always the exception. Bad Company and Bad Company 2, amazing. But they're saying that people are jumping back into Battlefield 4 because of it. This from EA. We are absolutely blown away by your excitement and reactions to the recent Battlefield 2042 reveal. Since then, many of you have jumped back into Battlefield 4 to already get a taste of the return to all-out warfare. We've been monitoring your experiencing and noticed queue times in the West region were far longer than in other regions. EA said that players can expect less waiting and more playing now that the server capacities have been increased. It will also continue to monitor queue times and make further adjustments as necessary. That's insane. That's actually insane. They are increasing server capacity for a game that was released. If I remember correctly, it was a cross-gen release for the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. What's Battlefield 4 released? No, not 2042. We'll just do Battlefield 4. 2013, yeah, it was one of those games that was released right as the Xbox One was initially released. So that is 8 years. Yeah, an 8-year-old game is getting an increased server capacity because people are so excited to get back into Modern Warfare. And I think this is what I was complaining about last time, in the last episode, where I don't know what EA was thinking when they did World War I and then decided to do World War II after. They should have done a Modern Warfare Battlefield like immediately after Battlefield 1, or even after Battlefield. Like Battlefield 5 should have been a Modern Warfare Battlefield, a couple of years after Battlefield 4. The old like World War II games and even World War II games specifically have been overdone. World War I games feel weird because World War I, that type of warfare was very different than the type of warfare that you would see in the games that you're seeing today, Call of Duty, or even the World War II games. It's a very different type of war, and you didn't have a lot of flanking maneuvers. I mean, World War I was all about you sit in the trenches and you fire over a battlefield, over no man's land, into another trench, and you just keep doing that. It was trench warfare. It was horrible. And particularly in terms of a video game content, I remember when they first announced Battlefield 1 for World War I was just kind of flabbergasted by like, what is going to be fun about this? You're going to be sitting in a trench for most of the time. Now, that's not how it played. It plays like any other Battlefield, which actually feels, again, a lot more like modern combat. But you're playing with old and tiny weapons, or you're playing with pretty much only bolt guns or very early machine guns, which really, they weren't great. So it is nice that we're back into a modern style, which more fits the gameplay that you see in the Battlefield games. And modern guns are cooler. There's so much more customization with modern guns than there were with any of the guns around World War II or previous. So yeah, just kind of goes to what I was saying last time. That's all. It was just more of a I told you so. I'm right. EA, listen to me. Stick with the Modern Warfare stuff when it comes to Battlefield. And please don't do a yearly release. I know you guys haven't, and I'm glad you guys haven't, but please, just no. Let us enjoy the game for a couple years and then release a new one. Which I'm glad that they have actually at least done that. Okay, last thing for the episode tonight. This is a little different. This is more about anime. Because I actually really do enjoy anime, but in particular this one series. Some of you may be aware of it. It's called Mobile Suit Gundam. It is certainly not Fast and Furious, because for whatever reason, this just decided to keep playing while I had this in another tab. Okay. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of Mobile Suit Gundam. Like the original Universal Century Mobile Suit Gundam series, it was a series that I grew up watching. Back when I was like first getting into, so like I was about like 11 or 12, and I had a little bit of an allowance because I was helping my folks out with their business stuff, so they'd have me come in, and rather than hiring a babysitter, I would be there at the factory, and I'd be kind of like doing a couple things here and there, helping them out, and then they'd be giving me a little bit of a, you know, basically allowance for it. And so some of the things that I spent my money on was video games and anime DVDs, or at that time anime VHSs. But with the DVDs, was Mobile Suit Gundam. That's what I got, and that was one of the first series that I got. It was that and Dragon Ball Z. Those were the two. And Mobile Suit Gundam was the one that actually got more of my attention. And I love that original series. Was just amazing. It was really just eye-opening for me. Like most of the anime that I had seen was just the stuff that they happened to show on Saturday morning cartoons, or like the Toonami stuff that they used to have, where they had Cowboy Bebop and all that. I never got into any of that other stuff. Like Dragon Ball was the first one, and then Mobile Suit Gundam was the second one. But I love that original series of the Universal Century stuff, the 0079 with Amuro Ray, and then Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, and then all the like the mini series between with like 8th MS Team and 0080 and whatnot, and then Charge Counterattack after that. I still have yet to see Double Zeta Gundam, and that's mainly because I have to sign up to yet another streaming service that I'm not interested in necessarily doing, but that's another story altogether. But one of the stories that I remember hearing about and reading about was Hathaway's Flash, which was a series of light novels that came out after Charged Counterattack was released in the 90s in Japan. And I know... Actually, no, I didn't even know that they were going to make it into an... Like, actually, that they were going to actually animate it. And one thing that I didn't know... So they actually released it originally in Japan, I think last year even. Let's actually look into this. Yeah, earlier this... No, that wasn't it. Yeah, earlier this year, the streaming service Netflix added the original film trilogy Mobile Suit Gundam. Really? See, now that I didn't know. That's actually pretty cool. Which retold the original story of the war between the Earth Federation and the Principality of Zeon, preparing fans for the arrival of the latest movie in the franchise that tells the story, of the spiritual successor to both the hero and villain of the original series in Amuro and Char. The movie was delayed a number of times thanks to COVID lockdowns. Netflix has brought Hathaway to a brand new audience. The originally dubbed Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway's Flash, when it hit theaters in the East, the movie follows the story of the original universe that got things started in the anime. When was it released? This latest Gundam film hitting the streaming service is only the first of a planned trilogy. That's cool. I like it. That will explore the character Hathaway, who is perceived as a terrorist in the war-stricken world. Well, from my reading of the synopsis of it, that actually does make sense. Because he was doing that. The streaming service also working to create a live adaptation. No! No more live adaptations. Oh, I hate it. Please, stop making live adaptations of animation. Please. Because the live adaptations never look as good. I have yet to see a live adaptation of an anime or of a comic book. No, that's not true. I mean, the Marvel stuff is okay. The Marvel stuff is good visually, but I mean, like, particularly like of animation, right? And in particular, the anime. Like the live action stuff of the anime never quite looks right, and I wish that they would just stop it. Really, I've yet to find one that I've really liked. Anyway, Netflix had released a trailer for Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway via their Geeked Week event, which I did not actually see, releasing the big news that the latest popular film in the franchise would be hitting their streaming service. That's cool. Actually, let's see if I can watch this here, because I still haven't even seen it. But I know the movie actually came out in Japan, I think last year sometime, and then it's now actually finally coming to American audiences. Let's see if I can just see this. I kind of can. I muted the tab because I'm in new videos we're gonna play. Let's see if we can't get this full screen here. The typical anime intro music. Looks pretty good. I think I might be a little biased. I love Gundam, so. Oh, it's a good one. And by the way, so the League Esports, if you want to get into Gundam, I mean, Netflix has the original trilogy movies of the Gundam, which retell the anime story, but in more accessible chunks, if you will. Like, you can just watch these 3 movies rather than having to watch 47 episodes of a anime series. But yeah, but I think this is going to be interesting. I'm pretty excited for it. And the one thing that I think is actually really cool is that it just actually hit Netflix yesterday. So I'm actually really excited for that. And that's probably what I'm going to be watching over the weekend. I'm very excited for this because I love the series, and particularly that time frame from the original series and all the series that were around that time up to Char's Counterattack. Like, everything that's in between there is probably my favorite. The series after, in fact, it wasn't even a series. They released a movie after, was Gundam F91. It was a bit of a disappointment because it had like almost no connection to the original series. Even though it was within the same universe, it was like 30 years later, and there was like a new government formed, and like everybody had somehow forgotten about all the stuff that had happened like 30 years prior. So it seemed like a weird take for them to go that way. Like, I would have understood if they had made it like 100 years later, but yeah, it is what it is. But like between the original series and Char's Counterattack, definitely check out. They're all awesome. And then Hathaway's In fact, it's just called Hathaway. Yeah, that's it. Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway. That might be the next one to include in the list because it takes place a couple years after. Might even be directly after. I'm just looking for the time frame here. Person who calls himself Mafty, leads the organization, is Hathaway Noah. Okay, the son of Bright Noah, who was like the captain of the White Base in the original series, and then who also showed up in Zeta Gundam and then in Double Zeta Gundam. So like he's been throughout this entire thing, a pretty consistent character. Right, he joined the forces to try and stop Char. First-hand knowledge of the ideas and ideologies of Amore and Char, he has become a warrior following in their footsteps and plans to clear a path forward through armed resistance. His destiny, however, is drastically altered as he encounters the Federation forces. Kenneth Slegg, and a mysterious young beauty named Gigi Andalusia. Interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. It's gonna be good. I hope it's gonna be good. I'll put it that way. I hope it's gonna be good. I haven't seen Gundam Unicorn yet, and because I know that's the other series that takes place just after Charge Counterattack. So those are actually two series I should see. But Hathaway, I'm actually more excited because it's directly connected to Charge Counterattack. So anyway, guys, that is actually gonna be it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this second episode of Green Squadron TV. Again, this is really just me kind of talking about just some of the stuff that I like, whether it's anime, video games, or whatever. If there's a video, I'll try and react to it. If there's an article, I'll try and read it and give my opinion. But yeah, that's really it. Yeah, if you guys are watching live, the plan is I'll be ending the stream. And I'll need to actually end it specifically because I forgot to hit record, and so I need to get the highlight. And then what I'll do is I'll restart the stream after that, and we'll be hitting up some Escape from Tarkov after that. So I am gonna end the stream, but it'll just be for a couple minutes, so that I can, without having to create the highlight, actually have this easier for me to download and get easily, so I can then put it up to Odyssey tomorrow. So that is the plan. And if you guys are watching this on Odyssey or YouTube, you guys can watch the stream live at twitch.tv/green_leader87. A link will be down below in the description. If you guys agree with me or disagree with me on any of these opinions, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think. Let me know if you've actually watched Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway and whether or not it's actually good. Let me know. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. Have a great night, and I will hopefully see you guys next week on Green Squadron TV. This is Green Leader, signing out.